Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us for the new product demonstration program applicant webinar. I'm Dana Meinzer, the Entrepreneurial Investments Coordinator here at Alberta Innovates. Joining me today to discuss the new product demonstration program are Sandra Candy, Director of Global Partnerships at Alberta Innovates, and Risa John, the Director of Performance Management and Evaluation at Alberta Innovates. Before we begin, I'll go over a few housekeeping items for those unfamiliar with the On24 platform, acknowledgements, and a run-through of today's agenda. So if you notice at the bottom of your screen, there are engagement tools you can use. All the engagement tools are resizable and movable, so feel free to move them around and get them in your most comfortable outlook for you. You can expand the speaker view and the slide view by clicking the arrows at the top right corner. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can submit them through the group chat box at the bottom of your screen. We'll take time at the end of the presentation to answer as many questions as we can. When submitting questions, be mindful of any duplications. The group chat box is also a useful way to connect with other participants. We would like to respectfully acknowledge that this webinar is being presented to you from Treaty 6 and 7 territories, also reaching Territory 8. All traditional lands, meeting grounds, and traveling routes for First Nation and Métis people. We acknowledge all the many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries and whose presence continues to enrich our vibrant communities. So here is today's agenda. First, we'll start with an Alberta Innovates overview, followed by the program overview. We'll then break down the eligibility criteria based on applicant, strategic partner, project. We'll then move on to the application process and timelines, followed by the evaluation criteria. Then we'll conclude with tips and frequently asked questions before we move into the question and answer period. And I'll move it along now to Sandra to get us started.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you again for joining us on the relaunch of the product demonstration program. So just a little bit of background on Alberta Innovates. Alberta Innovates is celebrating its 100th year, and it is designated as the province funding agency tasked to deliver on research and innovation priorities for the government of Alberta. We have a number of subsidiaries across, or two subsidiaries across the province, CFR and Innotech Alberta. Our investments go across a number of different strategies and supporting SMEs across the province. And our employees that we have span, as I said, across the province, from Edmonton, Calgary to the rural areas across the province. So we believe the Alberta Research and Innovation ecosystem is stronger and more sustainable when it is broadly represented by a diverse and, sorry, just want to make sure my mic was on, sorry. Sorry, let me start again. We believe the Alberta Research and Innovation ecosystem is stronger and more sustainable when it is broadly representative of the overall diversity of our community. We strive to ensure that all interested and qualified parties have an equitable opportunity to participate in and contribute to the ecosystem, and that our processes are inclusive. So I just want to give you a little bit of background with respect to the P2p program and what we've done with respect to the P2p program. The P2p program really is there to support Alberta's small and medium-sized enterprises across the province. The P2p program, as it was, seen some challenges, and we were looking to update those challenges that we were having with the program, making sure that it hit all of the parts of the organization and the programs that we deliver. The P2p was originally initiated in 2013-14 as a trial program, and it targeted primarily oil and gas, designed to promote technology in those portfolios as a trial with an industry partner. The opportunities that we had over COVID, we recognized that there was opportunities to maybe look at this program and take a step back and reevaluate what we could then develop with the program. So some of the changes that you will see within the program that we are presenting today is really around what we're focused on are TRL levels, and most of the participants that are out there understand that the TRL levels really mean that technology readiness level. And I'm going to challenge you as companies to really assess what a TRL means. And if you have a challenge of knowing what the TRL levels and numbers really reflect, come to our website and we have that listed out there. So one of the big components that we are making the change to is changing it from a continuous intake to a call process. What this allows us to do is really focus on the opportunities that SMEs are seeing at a date and time, and to really kind of pool all of the applicants together to pick the best of the best, if you will, of clients and proposals, if you will. The second thing is that we are going to implement an aspect of a project manager within Alberta Innovates to help you as a client, as an SME, along your journey. So we'll be watching and making sure that we have some connections to you and your progress that you're making. We've also changed the funding from $300,000 over 2 years to up to $150,000. Now, that may sound a little bit that we've kind of, obviously we've shrunk the program, but you can apply more than once to the program. So, you know, it's not a one and done, as we'll say, and we'll probably hear that term a couple of times today. It really is meant to focus that project that you have with us at a particular point in time. The big one, our strategic partner. We're calling it a strategic partner, and we'll get a little bit more into that later on. But what do we mean by a strategic partner? But we really look at you as an SME that's getting your product to that first buyer, that strategic partner. And that is where we really want a very strong commitment from your strategic partner in the application. As I said, we've changed it from a 2-year time frame to a 1-year time frame, and we're defining the TRL levels at 8 and 9. And we'll get into a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So the objective, the product demonstration program objective is really, as I said, to support high potential, high growth Alberta SMEs to commercialize their technology to achieve optimum market position and increase revenue and potentially expand into global markets. Going just in Alberta is not enough. We know that. So we want to give this program heightened opportunities, if you will, to make sure that companies can go global with their project. So if you have a strategic partner or a first buyer in Ontario, we see that there's an important aspect to that, and then maybe an opportunity for you to partner with that company in other markets. Our goals, simply to help you as an SME de-risk the commercialization process, to provide funds and coaching, because coaching is really where we can help you get to the next stages of commercializing and revenue. Entering into a partnership with a potential reference client is key. As I said, that's our strategic partner reference. Conducting that pilot demonstration that trials your technology on site in a real world environment. It's not just plunking your technology down in one spot and saying, yeah, let me test it, see if this is working in this particular environment. We really want the SME to work with a strategic partner to validate and make sure that it's working in that particular environment. The P2p target and our outcomes are really simple. We're looking for the value of our investment. Overall, we need to make sure that we have meaningful return on investment for the province of Alberta and serve as a catalyst for commercializing the innovative technology and ready for export, ready for those new markets. We want to make sure that companies are generating new jobs, diversifying in the economy, and looking for an increased revenue of their technology. The opportunities certainly are there for you as an SME to continue to grow and scale. When we talk about the TRL level and the grow and scale, at TRL 8 and 9, you really do have a product that is more than just a prototype, that is more than just a proof of concept that you're doing with your strategic partner. You're really working towards growing your technology and getting ready for commercialization and sales. What is the P2p program? As I said, it's an operational test and validation with a strategic partner. That's where you get the biggest bang for your buck, when you really have someone that is taking it and saying, it's not a conceptual idea anymore. This is what and how a buyer would use your product. The product is completely designed and ready to deploy as soon as your validation or demonstration has been complete. So you're really on the edge of commercialization. You may even have some sales already. You may even have some product in some locations. So this is just that further area where you're moving your product into operational environment. Working with a first buyer or influential industry reference client is really key. That partner can really open the doors to taking your technology to the next step. They could even be a supporting sales reference for you to the next person or the next client that you may have. As a colleague of mine likes to say, a representative of a beachhead. In other words, you're on the edge. You are moving to that next stage of deployment and a critical distribution channel. So really, it's pushing it out to the next level. What the demonstration project isn't is about prototyping the development. So we're not asking and thinking that you're still at the bench and modifying your technology. You have gone beyond that. Research testing is limited. You are testing it, obviously, maybe doing some alignment or some agile improvements, but it's not a full research testing environment. And as I said, it's not a proof of concept. You're not just proving out your technology. You've done that work already. We want you to be at the later stages where you still need to get with that strategic partner to help the environment and growing that technology and capabilities of that technology. I like this quote because it really does emphasize what we want with respect to and how we see the partnership with a strategic partner. And even Bill Gates says that he couldn't have done and been successful without partnerships. So, as I said, we really want to focus on what a strategic partner is and what they can do and how they contribute to your application. The strategic partner really does understand and see the value of your product and your technology and wants to be your partner. So what better way to develop a relationship with a strategic partner than someone that you can trust, someone that you can take really good advice from, feedback from. If it's really not working, what do you need to do, tweaking it to make sure that it's something that is valuable to others. Strategic partners also really have that ability to provide you with the environment to test your technology. I was talking to a client the other day that said, wow, if I could get this particular product in their environment and in their location and test it, I can really develop or tweak the product to suit other areas. And really that's what we want to do, is make sure that it's ready for that operational environment and you're at the final stages of commercializing your technology. The strategic partner really can provide some very valuable technical feedback. And as I said, that trusted environment where this strategic partner has the ability to help you gain a foothold in the application. Hopefully that strategic partner, we want to see it, is that first buyer as well, that they're ready to sign on the dotted line and they are ready to take on the role of being your reference client. A strategic partner contributes in cash resources, support, and insight. As I said, they are really using their people within their organization to test out the product. So we look at that as in-kind resources. They assist with quality, and of course, they could be global. We don't really look at and focus on that they have to be in Edmonton or in Calgary or in Alberta for that matter. That strategic partner is where your best product, or helps you where your product is most, it can be used, I guess. So if your product happens to be something that is in an industry where it might be more focused on, say, car manufacturing, and that happens to be in Ontario, then that's where we want you to be looking for your strategic partner. Funding, as I mentioned very early on, the Alberta Innovates will match the applicant's contribution equally towards the project cost. So if you're applying for $150,000, that's what our, obviously our investment is up to $150,000. Matching money, your contributions and as an SME is in the form of cash and in-kind contributions. The cash and kind contributions are definitely something that if you have gone through our global partnership programs, most of you have seen this before and can understand what that means. Basically, what we want to make sure that you are, as an SME, contributing cash funds and in-kind funds. So in-kind is people that you already have working within your company. Cash is, say, new staff that you may be bringing into the project. And we're expecting it to be equal. So equal cash and equal in-kind. One, you can't put a whole bunch of in-kind and not have no cash in it. We want to make sure that you're contributing equally. One of the things that we're testing out, and we've heard from many SMEs as we had done our research and our surveys at the beginning of this year and pre-COVID or at COVID time, was that SMEs were telling us that, you know, we're incurring some upfront costs prior to even getting started in the project itself. So what we are going to trial for this particular round is that we can have, or with good compelling rationale from you and in your application, we can support up to 50% in kind, or sorry, 50% funds upfront. So if you have a $100,000 project and you need some upfront cash to maybe take some of your product to Ontario, to that auto manufacturing facility, we'll help in getting that product there in advance. So this is a new thing that we're going to trial, see how it goes. But as I said, one of the big things is that we need to have a compelling rationale. There is risk to this, and we want to limit our risk. And so to be perfectly upfront, we want to make sure that you have a really good, strong reason why you would need some upfront cash to help get you to your product demonstration. Eligible P2p costs, as we talked about what contributes or what quantifies or qualifies as cash contributions. And, you know, this is the cash component, but of course we have those in-kind components as well. Labor costs, costs for materials. We're not expecting to pay for a whole bunch of new capital, but there will be obviously some costs for some materials that we recognize that the project could have within the application. Relative and costs for traveling. So if you are in fact going to Ontario, or your strategic partner is in another location, we're going to support the travel and some related costs associated with that. Obviously, again, if you've been through the Global Partnership Program, you'll know that we always say it has to meet, you know, our guidelines. We're not going to pay for first-class travel. We're not going to pay for the first-class accommodations. They have to be reasonable costs. So again, use your judgment, and our guidelines are there to help you know where you are within those costs. Costs of a subcontractor. Again, we understand that you may just have to hire a subcontractor for a period of time related to the project. Those costs are eligible. And of course, some other relative costs that we have within Alberta Innovates. Of course, applicants, you guys, SMEs, what are we looking for? This is pretty standard stuff. If you've been through our programs before about who you as an Alberta SME are, and what we're looking for. Of course, we're looking to support Alberta companies. So you have to be an Alberta SME. The footprint needs to be primarily here in the province of Alberta. You need to have fewer than 500 full-time employees and less than $50 million in gross revenue. So again, those are your standard, I guess, terms of what qualifies as an SME. We want to make sure that you're financially capable of funding, of course, the project and supporting the project. So we want to make sure that you have good financials and you're in good standings with Alberta Innovates, Innotech, or CFIR Technologies. And again, all of this is in our program guide. So I'm, rattling through this really quickly, but really it's pretty standard stuff when it comes to Alberta Innovates programs and to the entrepreneurial investment programs that we have. So it's really nothing new in that respect. A strategic partners eligibility, and I touched on this already, they really need to be arm's length from the applicant, from you, the SME. We don't want it to, obviously for good reasons, we want them to be your partner, your buyer of your technology. We want them to provide a letter of intent. So at the full application submission, and Risa will get a little bit more into those details in a few minutes. When we talk about the full proposal, that's when we need this letter of intent from your strategic partner to really strengthen your application. At the EOI stage, it would be nice if you identified this is the type of strategic partner you're looking for, but it really is necessary at the full proposal timeframe. And again, all of those other components there that you read through the program that are, of course, financially capable of purchasing your technology at the end of the demonstration would be obviously important. And we want to make sure that your strategic partner and your letter of intent is from somebody that really has some level within that organization or the organization that you're partnering with. It just can't be a project manager within a company. We want a little bit higher level, CEO possibly, or minimum maybe a CFO. So make sure that you put some effort into making sure that you find the right partner, the strategic partner, and that you have the right level of interest within that strategic partner. The project criteria, again, as I've mentioned, some changes with respect to what we are looking for. We need to have at least one strategic partner identified in the application. So, again, it has to show us some commitment that you're going to the next level of demonstrating your technology. The project will initiate the project, right away, I guess, March 31st or even sooner if we're able to get everything approved in that time frame. But initially, we're hoping to get these projects started this year. And you have 1 year to complete the project. The demonstration has a strong, the application itself, rather, shows us and the reviewers that there is a strong project demonstration here, that you really are taking it to the next stages. As I mentioned earlier, we intend to be your partner as well in these new projects in the P2p program. And so we will have program advisors for the P2P working alongside you to help understand your go, no-go milestones. So if there is some challenges in what you're trying to do, we're going to be there to help you through that. So you will still be required to complete a milestone reporting form that will allow you to define what the steps of your project will be and the milestones that we will obviously pay you on going forward. As I said, the biggest thing is, is that it is a TRL 8 and 9. And the TRL 8 and 9 really defines it as that you are testing in an operational environment with the partner, with your strategic partner in the demonstration. I know there'll be lots of questions, but we'll get to those, shortly here. So, and again, we want to make sure that we are always being agile and being responsive to the programs that we deliver here at Alberta Innovates. We know and understand that SMEs go through a lot of different steps in their journey to commercialization. So we want to be there to help you. So I'll send this over to Risa, where she'll pick up on the next steps of the process.
Thanks, Sandra. Good morning, everybody. So Sandra alluded to, I'm going to be walking through the application and review process over the next couple of slides. So the P2p application review will be a two-stage competitive process as outlined in this diagram. And so I'm going to walk you through the steps. And so the very first thing that we would recommend that you do is review the P2p program guide and read it thoroughly to make sure that you're a good fit for this program. Because if you're not, as Sandra's alluded to, there's a whole continuum of services and funding opportunities that Alberta Innovates offers. And so while P2p might not be relevant for you, there may be other funding opportunities. If you've read the program guide and you feel that it's a good fit, the next step is going to be to identify your potential strategic partners. So as, again, Sandra alluded to, during the phase 1 or the EOI stage, you do not need to have confirmed strategic partners, but you do need to have identified potential partners. And again, we're saying this plural, right? Because it could be more than one. So minimally, you need to identify one potential partner, but you could have several potentials identified going into the EOI stage. If you've never applied to one of Alberta Innovates funding programs before, we use an application portal called Smart Simple. And so if you've never applied with us before, you will need to register. That'll take you a little bit of time to input all of your demographics. But once you've done that, you'll be given an ID code. And so then if you apply for future opportunities, all of that demographic information is going to be carried forward for you. Okay, and so then there's a deadline for this first phase, the expression of interest, to submit that form by January 15th. I'm going to be walking through in a little bit more detail about what's involved in submitting that form. We're going to take a very short period of time, less than a week, to evaluate those expression of interest forms. And really, and again, I'll go into more detail about this, it's really just looking to make sure that you're meeting the basic eligibility criteria, that you're the right fit for this program. If you're the right fit, we will communicate to you and invite you to submit the application for stage 2 or the full proposal. If you don't meet the basic eligibility criteria, we'll also notify you with an unsuccessful letter. Right. And as Sandra said, this is not a one and done. There will be future calls. So if you're unsuccessful for this call, there will be opportunities to apply in the future. For those applicants who were invited to submit the full proposal, at this stage is when you do need to confirm your strategic partner or partners by having them sign that letter of interest. And there will be a template provided for you to do this. So once you've done that, then you will complete the full proposal application. The deadline for that is February 8th. That will be then reviewed by Alberta Innovates. And then again, we will notify successful and unsuccessful applicants. So that at a high level as the process steps involved in applying for the P2p program. And so the next slide now walks you through the timeline. And so we made the announcement back on December 15th. We're here today together January 6th for the webinar. Just a reminder again that cutoff for the EOI application is January 15th at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we take the 5 p.m. strictly, right? So if you apply at 5:01, you will not meet the cutoff. So please ensure that you meet the timeline cutoffs for submission. And as well, when you're preparing your application in Smart Simple, there's opportunities to have a draft. Make sure that you submit it and it's not still as a draft by that deadline. And then for the full proposal, the cutoff with your signed strategic partner letter of interest is February 8th, again at the 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We will be targeted to notifying people whether they were successful or unsuccessful in February. And then look at contracting in February and March, and initiating the first milestone payments in March of 2021. And as Sandra had said, there is that 1-year time frame to complete the product demonstration. Now, we want to acknowledge that these timelines are very tight. So you may be going, my goodness, like, if I'm just hearing about it today, am I going to be able to submit this application? And so we wanted to get this call out for shovel-ready companies to take advantage of this opportunity, right? So if you're shovel-ready, it should not be any issue for you to get this information together. As I walk you through the EOI application, you'll see that it's very high level. If you're not ready, again, this is not one and done, right? There will be further opportunities for you to apply for this program. So just wanted to kind of acknowledge that with the timeline. So now I wanted to walk you through the evaluation criteria at both stages. And so, as I alluded to at the first stage, the expression of interest stage, basically we're just looking to ensure that you're the right fit for this program. So all of those criteria that Sandra outlined on slides 16, 17, and 18 in relation to the applicant basic eligibility criteria, the strategic partner and project criteria, essentially that's what we're looking for in the expression of interest. It's going to be a very high level form that really is just looking to show evidence that you've met that basic criteria. Because we want to be very diligent when we go through this process about the resources that we are putting on applicants. And so we want to make sure that at this first stage, we're just making sure that this is the right fit, right? If it is the right fit, then in stage 2, we're going to go into much more of a deep dive. And so we'll notify you, as I said, whether or not you meet those basic eligibility criteria, and you'll be invited then to submit the full proposal application. Now, this is a much more in-depth application because we will now look more in-depth at whether or not SMEs, again, would be the most promising and have the most benefit from this funding opportunity. And so at the full proposal stage, we look at 11 criteria, and we use a panel of business and technical experts to help us evaluate these proposals. And so I'll just quickly walk you through these criteria. So the first really is around relevance. And so we look at the strategic fit and alignment with the P2p objectives that Sandra just walked you through. So we want to make sure that this is a good opportunity for you, and also it's a good opportunity back for Alberta. We then look at the excellence or innovation of the application. We look at the knowledge or technology system opportunity of the product. We look at the comparative analysis of the product in relation to other like products. And of course, we look at the commercialization potential, right? Because as Sandra has said, we're looking at products that at our TRL level 8 or 9 that are on the cusp of commercialization. The next section that we look at in the proposal is the feasibility of your product demonstration plan. So we'll look at your objectives, your acceptance criteria, your risk analysis and mitigation of your plan. We're going to take a look at your budget, the return on investment in project funding. We'll take a look at your project team and resources that you've outlined, who your strategic partner is and their commitment, and the product ownership applications. And then lastly, we look at the outcomes back to you as a company and to the wider Alberta community. So as far as economic benefits, as Sandra has alluded to, we're looking at, what a potential for revenue growth, job creation, export growth. And around social benefits, we're really looking for how we can increase the knowledge generation of product demonstration and build ecosystem capacity. And so all of these criteria are equally weighted, so they're all equally important. And so we're really looking for that comprehensive proposal that covers off all of those aspects in relation to funding. Okay, so those are the evaluation criteria. Now, I specifically wanted to walk you through that first application form, the expression of interest. And so when you go onto our website and click onto the application link, you'll see the template form there. And so you'll see that it's a very high level form. We're just asking for some very basic information. And so I'm just going to give you some advice on what to ensure that you include in each of those sections to make sure that we can accurately evaluate that basic eligibility criteria. So the main section of that application is a section called Project Overview. And so in that section, what we want you to do is briefly describe, because there's not a lot of room, briefly describe your business objectives and your operating model. And do reference the number of full-time employees that you currently have. That goes back to the definition of an SME that Sandra outlined to you. Do provide a detailed description of the product that you want to proceed with the demonstration with this product, and then reference that technology readiness level. And again, as Sandra is alluding to, there is a requirement of that TRL level being 8 or 9. So do reference that and provide a rationale demonstrating that it isn't an 8 or 9. We're going to want you to describe your proposed commercialization pathway of the product, and then briefly describe, because at this point in time, it's not going to be well formed. We don't expect a comprehensive plan at this point, but briefly describe what your intent for the plan is, who would be on your project team, potential high-level milestones, timeline, and acceptance criteria. But again, at this point in time, we're just looking for high-level information. If you are invited to the full proposal, that's when we're going to expect a more fulsome description of the plan. The next section in the EOI application is a project summary table. And so in there, it does ask for contribution from other sources. So in other words, it's a strategic partner. And so as we alluded to, we don't expect you to have a confirmed strategic partner at this stage, just potential partners. So it is okay to leave that section as blank or 0 for the EOI stage. When it comes to the full proposal stage, we would expect you to have that contribution amount confirmed with your strategic partner. And then you'll see that there is an attachment where you will outline who your potential strategic partners are at this point in time. Again, it's not confirmed at this stage. We'll ask for the confirmation at the full proposal stage with the signed letter of interest. But at this stage, it's just potential. And you can add up to 3 potential partners in that section. If you have more than 3 strategic partners, there will be a smart, simple contact here at the end that you can reach out to about how to provide that additional information. And so again, just outline your current relationship with these proposed partners and what their potential role might be in the product demonstration. And so really, if you focus on those basic eligibility criteria and articulating that in this form, that should move you through to the next stage. And so the form is short. We're just looking for that targeted information about the basic eligibility criteria at this stage. Okay. And so just, again, some very generic tips for preparing successful proposal. I can't reinforce enough. Read the program guide, read the program guide, read the program guide, because everything you need to know about whether or not this is the right fit, what the application criteria are all outlined in that program guide. So you use that as your source of record. There's not a lot of word space in this expression of interest form deliberately, because we want it to be very clear and concise. So really, focus on answering the questions and read the guidance questions carefully. And now I've seen that there's also been some questions in the chat, and we'll get to this later. But because this is about improving, the economic and social impact in Alberta, do identify that context. We are, of course, looking for growth outside of Alberta, but we do need to identify that Alberta context, right? And again, don't wait until the last day to submit. So when I said those deadlines were 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, those are the deadlines. We will not accept applications if they're 1 minute over, right? So I would encourage you not to wait until the last minute, just to make sure you don't hit any road bumps, with submitting the application. Okay. Before we get into kind of open questions, I just wanted to go through a couple of frequently asked questions to make sure that these get covered off. And so one of the things that Sandra alluded to is that there has been a bit of a role change with the technology development advisors. And so some of you may have an existing relationship with them. And in the past, they might have helped you prepare applications. So your relationship with them does not change. What changes changes for this call is that your point of contact for questions about applications and the process is Sandra and myself. So that's the only change, right? So instead of going to your TDA with questions, you're going to come to Sandra and myself. And one of the reasons why we made that change is we wanted to make sure that there was kind of a single point of contact for information sharing. So what we're going to be doing here today is we will be posting a copy of this PowerPoint, posting a copy of this question and answer period, but we'll also be collecting any questions that we receive afterwards and posting that on the website, just so that everybody can benefit from any questions asked from any applicant. The second kind of question that comes up a lot is about, is there a certain type of product that you're looking for? So as Sandra mentioned, we do have focus areas within Alberta Innovates with things like digital health and smart agriculture. But for this call, it's sector agnostic, if you will. We're not requiring the product to be from any particular sector or area. Another common question comes up is, can strategic partners be from outside of the province? They absolutely can, but what you're going to need to make sure then is that you're covering off any governance or regulatory issues with that partner in relation to the product demonstration and distribution, right? So that's going to be your part of your plan to make sure that you've covered that off. And again, just to reiterate one more time, this is not a one and done. If you're not successful in this call, there will be future calls. Again, we're probably planning one in April or May. So there will be future opportunities for you to apply. And so I had referenced that your contacts for this call are Sandra and myself with any questions. If there's any smart, simple technical issues, Jasbinder is your contact. We're going to try and get through now as many questions as we can. But any that we don't get to, we will post responses to on the website. And then you can contact Sandra and myself, even 2 minutes after this webinar with any questions by email or phone. And again, Sandra and I are going to track all those questions and post the responses back for everybody's benefit on the website. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dana to coordinate the questions.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, there's a lot of questions coming through here. So I think we'll just start off here. There was a lot of questions in terms of the contribution amounts for the partners and what sort of cost breakdown that was. So if the contribution amount from a partner is expected in dollars or just willingness to test the product, and if there is potential if one contributes cash and the other contributes in kind, if you could just kind of discuss more about what goes into the strategic partner contribution.
Yeah, so I can certainly take that. The strategic partner is really there to help get you to the next stages. So whatever they can contribute obviously is beneficial. You as an SME still need to have some responsibility in contributing 50% in kind and 50% in cash of the project cost. So again, I want to just kind of go back to that if I can, and just say something really simple. So if you're the applicant of you're the SME applicant, you're applying for $100,000 from Alberta Innovates. We expect that of the total project, 50% of that $100,000 will be cash, 50% of that $100,000 will be in kind from you, the applicant, the SME. The bonus is really what the strategic partner is going to contribute. We know that just having your technology on their site already means that they have an in-kind investment, if you will. We're not necessarily tracking that, item by item. If you can, that's great. That always supports that. If they are willing to maybe put 50% of the investment cost of buying it for you, the SME, that's great too. But that's not what we are looking for. What we are simply looking for is from you is that you have, as an SME, as the applicant, is contributing 50% cash, 50% in kind of that $100,000 of the project cost. So hopefully that answered it. If it didn't, I'm happy to take a call offline with you.
Perfect. Thanks, Sandra. And then there was some questions about the eligible expenses. So we will post on our website the agreement template, which has a full breakdown of all of the eligible expenses in there. One person was wondering, do the expenditures need to be made in Alberta? And if so, what percentage in terms of expenses?
So again, we understand that if you were taking your technology, say, to the United States and your strategic partner is there, you're going to incur some costs that are in the United States. What we're hoping to do is that we're hoping that you're hiring people within Alberta to grow our Alberta economy. So, we want to make sure that there's a balance to your expenditures that you have and what you're going to do as a company as you grow. So, look at it in those reasonable costs. But as I said, we understand that if you've got your technology that you're deploying to the United States to test with your strategic partner, you're going to have costs related to doing that, and that will be part of eligible costs.
Excellent, thank you. One person was wondering, will the new program require IP and IP protection to be in place as a requirement?
So we don't look as a requirement that you have your IP in place. We would expect that because this is a strategic partner, that you're taking your technology that's already protected in some way, shape, or form, that the strategic partner isn't going to look to take that IP away from you. Your IP, we wanted to make sure that your IP is your IP. But you develop your own agreements. If it's a license agreement or a partnership agreement with your strategic partner, that is 100% up to you and how you determine that to work. The strategic partner is not developing your IP. They're simply using your IP. So hopefully that clarifies the IP question, but we really do want you to always consider IP and protecting your IP, whether it's, as I said, a confidentiality agreement, a license agreement, all of those sorts of things. We want to make sure that you have those in place. You need additional help on that and clarification, again, give us a call following the presentation.
Perfect. One person is wondering how many grants will be made for this round and if we have an expectation of applications.
So we don't. The more the merrier. We want, this is going to be a competitive process. So if we have 30 or 40 applicants that are invited to submit a full proposal and their full proposals meet every criteria and have met the review criteria and that sort of thing, we're going to try and support as many as we possibly can. I can't give you a definite number because not everybody will need the full $150,000. So it's really difficult for me, and maybe that's a really good way to kind of put it, but we really don't know how many applications we're going to receive and if everyone's going to request the full 150 to give you an exact amount if I'm going to say I'm going to award 50 this time around. I just don't know.
Thanks, Sandra. In terms of the strategic partner, a couple people wondering if there are any resources in connecting with a strategic partner, or if they can go through AI, or how they can go about connecting with one.
Really good question. And the strategic partner, we know is really key. And as we build out this program, Alberta Innovates and our entrepreneurial investments, working with our TDAs, we're hoping that we can help you as SMEs find those strategic partners. For this round, we don't have that all in place. So it's really up to you as an SME, as the applicant, to find the strategic partner. Think of a strategic partner as the person that you've gone to sell your technology to. So I've got my product in my little handbag and I'm ready to do a demonstration to a potential buyer. You know, if they're still on the fence about whether they want to buy that product or to commit to you, tell them you have this program, this Alberta Innovates product demonstration program, that can help de-risk some of that for them as a first buyer. Consider asking them to be your strategic partner. First kind of element of sales is try maybe before they buy. And maybe that's the concept that you can try with maybe a strategic partner. But it really is up to you, the applicant, because you know the environment that your technology needs to be tested in, not me. So I can help as much as I can, but it really is you that have the partnerships already that maybe have been your first buyers, to really give them the opportunity to be a stand-up, if you will, and be the strategic partner to help you out, and then applying to the program for that additional support. So hopefully that answered that question. If not, again, come back to me later on.
Thanks, Sandra. So a couple of people are wondering, with the short timeline between the EOI and the full application, is there a chance that we are going to share sort of what the requirements are in the full application as a way to sort of help people prepare for that application?
And so I can take that one, Sandra. We will send a link to the full application to those successful applicants, but we will advance post probably early next week an advanced copy of that full application.
Excellent. Thanks, Sandra. Or thanks, Risa. For the strategic partners. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just one more thing. It's not going to be terribly different than if you've seen the product demonstration program in the past in the application. So please, we don't want you to get too stressed about what it might look like and the time commitment. We're going to try and make it as easy as possible. This is our first round. And as Risa said, we're hoping to even have an application guide that will follow in subsequent rounds to help you get through this at least a little less painful with respect to filling out these applications. Sorry, Dana, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine. So with the strategic partners, so we can have up to 3 strategic partners. Is there a need for that if each strategic partner has a slightly different use or a different project? Should people submit multiple projects or one project with the strategic partners as long as it's aligned? Can you kind of clarify that?
Yeah, great question, and almost difficult to answer because there could be so many different scenarios here with those strategic partners. You know, you really have to define what you want from this particular strategic partner. What is the role of that strategic partner? What are the tasks that you're going to think of them to do to validate, to put this demonstration into that operational environment for them? So, you know, perhaps you want to be a little bit more strategic on which partner you're going to be selecting to give you the biggest bang for the project, if you will. So I think that it's really important to, if you've got multiple strategic partners, to make sure that you're defining their roles and making sure that you know what you're expecting them to do at particular points in time. If you've got concurrent ones, maybe they have the same kind of tasks. You know, it really is up to you to know what the best environment is to testing your strategic partner. You know, your time is just as important as well. And so if you're managing 3 or 4, well, 3 strategic partners, that may take a lot of your time. And it may dilute what you're trying to do. So, you know, you may want to consider staying focused and maybe with one partner at the this first one, and maybe you know, the next time we apply or in the next round, you consider multiple. But it really is up to you.
Perfect. So we are coming up to the end of the presentation time here. Just going to see if I can do one more quick question. You had mentioned for the strategic partner letter about it being a C level. Is there a reason why a VP wouldn't be okay?
A VP can be okay. We just want somebody that does have some authority in the company and as a strategic partner that you're working for. You know, in the past, in the global partnership programs, when it hasn't been a C-level executive that has been a partner, what we have found is that it's less of a priority for them as well. So again, your strategic partner, you really want to pick the right strategic partner. They are your partner. And so we're looking for that higher level because you usually get a better commitment from that company to continue the test, continue the demonstration, that it's just not done on the side of the desk, that the CEO isn't aware that you've tested this new technology and are supporting it. So that's why we're looking at that level.
Excellent. Thanks, Sandra. So we are coming out to the end. So we will keep track of all the questions and post them on our website after this presentation. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.